For roughly 80 years, the US economy has dominated the world, and as such, the dollar has dominated official currency reserves. But is this reign coming to an end? With BRICS nations pushing for an alternative, the global financial order may be on the edge of a massive shift. Let's break down if BRICS has what it takes to rival, or even dethrone, the US dollar. Let's go. Let's get one thing clear. The US dollar isn't just a currency, it's the backbone of the global economy. Since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the world's primary reserve currency. Today, about 60% of the global foreign exchange reserves are held in US dollars. Now, why does this matter? Because when central banks, governments, and businesses trade in oil, buy goods, or settle debts, chances are they're doing it in dollars. This dominance gives the US enormous advantages. Cheaper borrowing costs, demand for US treasuries is always strong, control over sanctions. Cutting countries off from the dollar system really hurts. And global trust in the stability of the US economy. But here's the question. Can BRICS actually chip away at this? Now, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And as of 2024, they've invited countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, and the UAE to join. Together, BRIC nations make up the following: 55% of the world's population, if you're accounting for BRICS Plus, 35 to 45% of global GDP, and they're resource rich: oil, natural gas, rare earth metals, and agricultural exports. So on paper, BRICS looks like a powerhouse. But power on paper doesn't always translate to real influence. The group's real ambition is de-dollarization, reducing reliance on the US dollar in trade and finance. Russia and China have been especially vocal, pushing for trade settlements in their own currencies and floating the idea of a BRICS currency. But can they pull it off? Here's where things get tricky. No unified currency. Unlike the Eurozone, BRICS doesn't have a shared central bank or single monetary policy. Getting Brazil, India, and South Africa to use the same currency as China and Russia? Not exactly easy. Distrust among members. India and China are rivals. Brazil's politics swings, and Russia is isolated, so coordinating these countries would be like herding cats. Global trust in the dollar. The dollar isn't dominant just because the US is powerful, it's also trusted. Investors know that the Federal Reserve is transparent, US markets are liquid, and contracts are enforceable. Can BRICS offer the same stability? Probably not yet. And infrastructure and systems. Most global trade runs on dollar-based systems, like SWIFT. Building an alternative takes decades. Now China has started with chips, but the adoption is slow. So while BRICS has ambition, the execution is another story. That said, cracks are forming. The US national debt is soaring past $37 trillion. And Washington is increasingly using dollars as a weapon through sanctions that makes countries nervous about being too dependent. Also, nations like Saudi Arabia have started accepting yuan for oil trades with China, something unthinkable a decade ago. And central banks around the world have been buying gold at record levels, partly as a hedge against dollar risk. So while the dollar isn't collapsing, confidence isn't unshakable anymore. So why should the average person care if BRICS can rival the dollar? Well, because currency dominance affects a lot of things. Inflation. If the dollar weakens globally, imports get more expensive. Interest rates. US borrowing costs could rise if demand for treasuries falls. And global power. The dollar is a big part of why the US has influence worldwide. A rival currency changes the balance. But here's the truth. Even if BRICS makes progress, dethroning the dollar won't happen overnight. It's a process measured in decades, not years. The dollar's position is strong, but the rise of BRICS signals a multipolar financial future, one where the US dollar isn't the only game in town. The US dollar has ruled the global economy for nearly a century, and while BRICS has the ambition and resources to challenge that dominance, the road ahead is filled with obstacles, lack of unity, trust, and infrastructure. But the fact that this conversation is even happening at all shows that the world is shifting. So the question shouldn't be, can BRICS dethrone the US dollar? It should be more so, is the world ready for a financial system that isn't built around one currency? And with that, I'm Evan, and thanks for watching. If you liked what you just saw, then click on the video here. Also, if you haven't, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos.